Okay, everybody, I wanted to show you how to read a bill. So I chose the Direct Entry Midwife Act. It's one I'm very familiar with, of course. And I thought I would just go through it with you so that you can understand a little bit what you're looking at when you go to read bills that you might be tracking for the legislative session. So when I first saw the way these bills were set up, I was surprised and confused by the numbers on the left-hand side over here. But what I learned really quickly, and what seems probably obvious to you, is that these are numbers of each line. So it makes it really easy. For example, if you say, okay, well, I want to talk about something that's on line 478, you can quickly go there and see exactly what I'm talking about, rather than say scroll to page or go to page 4. It's about halfway down. Those line numbers make it really easy to read. Now, let's start at the very top. So this one says Direct Entry Midwife Act. That's actually considered the short title. This was the legislative session it was run in 2005, state of Utah. Our sponsor, House sponsor, and key sponsor was Jackie Biskupski. The long title and the general description says, this bill modifies the Occupations and Professions Code by enacting the Direct Entry Midwife Act and makes related changes to the Healthcare Providers Immunity from Liability Act. Then it has highlighted provisions. So this is basically what the bill does right here. So that's in this section right here. How much money is appropriated? None. Any other special clauses? None. Utah Code sections affected. And so it amends 3 sections right here and then enacts these sections right here. And then this is how basically the bill starts. So when legislative research has to pull together a bill, when they draft a bill, they look at any other section of code that this might impact. So this, for example, this is emergency care. So this is considered our Good Samaritan Act. So this says that you're not liable for any civil damages, right? So they had osteopathic physician. If you're trained as a professional, if you're trained as a medical professional, you stop in an emergency, you provide care, you can't be sued for it. So in this section, they had osteopathic physician, naturopathic, dental, dentist or dental hygienist, etc., all the way down. Then they needed to add one more, and that was us, the direct entry midwife. Okay, so this strike-through code is language that would be deleted, and this underlined code right here, this underlined language, is new language that's going to become law. So when they print the law, after this bill passes and they print the law, the underlining won't be there anymore. But that's how you know that this is new stuff. If you go down here, you see, for example, qualified immunity, health professionals, charity care. What this does here is there's a renumbering. And so these are the changes right here that you're going to see that become different. You add in, this is new language right here. You're going to strike out the and then here you get down to the general provision. So this is where it's actually creating new law, and it's creating a new licensed profession. So it has a title, it has definitions, and pretty much every bill you'll see will have definitions. And they can be boilerplate, or as you see in this case, it's all new stuff. So we needed to define what the practice of direct entry midwifery was in the state. Our state didn't address it at all, and so that's why you've got this here. As you go down, you've got another section. This is the board. So this board, this is the professional licensing board, and this is boilerplate language, which just means this is the same type of board that every other licensed professional has to have at a minimum. That's 4 members of the profession and 1 member of the public. So this board, there are some expanded boards that have a lot more members, but this board has to have at least 5 members, and 1 of them has to be a member of the public. And then this is new language. So basically, we did all of this new language. We have unprofessional and unlawful conduct. We've got penalties. We've got standards of practice. We've got prohibited practices, just to make it clear. We're not doing any kind of surgical deliveries. We're not doing any epidurals. We're not going to be participating in abortion, but that we wanted to make sure that that was spelled out. And then there's down here, this is a legislative review note looking at whether this bill is unconstitutional or constitutional. And that goes on bills now, especially if you think, for example, some of the lands bills that Utah's run recently, this legislation, the midwife legislation, has not been determined to have a high probability of being held unconstitutional. Some of our land legislation, some of the legislation that says we're going to sue the federal government, the legislative review note will say this has been found to have a high probability of being held unconstitutional. Okay, so that's basically how you read a bill, and it takes some practice. There's some key words I want to point out to you. Let's see if I can find one really quickly. It says, those are the definitions and what they're going to do. Let's see. So right here, the division. So the division defined up here is the Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing. So it says right here, the division shall establish a licensed direct entry midwife temporary rules committee. What that says is that's basically a directive. There's no way around it. They're going to do it. The other word that you sometimes see is may, and then it's voluntary. So they can do it if they want to, right here. Those additional prescription drugs which may be obtained and administered by licensed direct entry midwives. So they don't have to, but if it says shall, then it is going to happen. It is the law. Okay. I'm going to show you how to follow the legislative session now. So this is the home for le.utah.gov. Really easy to find, and they have a brand new look. It's spiffy. So if you know what you're looking for, if you want to follow, say, let's see, there's a new bill out about sibling incest. So that's a really interesting one. This one, we want to go over here to bills and see what we've got for the 2018 general session. Okay, it's not popping up right now. Okay, these are the House bills. They start with number 1, the base budget, and then education, and then you just go from there. There's over 1,400 bills filed so far. Not all of them are drafted at the beginning of the session. Not all of them will be drafted at the beginning of the session. Some of them will never be drafted because there's just too many. So the reason I wanted to pull up that bill and show you is there's a legislator who's proposed a bill to redefine incest as meaning between step siblings. So you can probably see the difficulties in that. If you have a divorced man and a divorced woman or widowed, and they marry and their children are adults and they also marry, that would be considered incest under this law. So that might be an interesting one for you to follow. It's under Merrill Nelson's bills. So let's look at that. Okay, so up here at the top, you've got legislators, you've got a legislative roster, you've got the Senate, you've got contact your senator. You can see up here, I live in Pleasant Grove. My computer knows that. My representative is Brian Green. My senator is Dan Hemmer. Here's your Senate roster. Here's your House roster. You can search alphabetically or even by session or by address if you know. And then you've got your legislative districts if you somehow want to know what the boundaries are for some reason. Okay, so when you go over here to bills, click on general session, and let's look at general session information right here. So weekly schedules, okay? You can follow everything you want to follow, at least on audio. So you have standing committees here. So let's say we're going to go over here and we're going to say we want to follow the appropriations committees. And we're going to say we want to know anything in January. And there we go. It pops up the calendar. So right here, we've got a meeting that's going to be this week, Legislative Process Committee. And then next Monday, we've got the first day of the session. So this pops up on your calendar right there. And then there's 6 more. You've got Senate floor time, House floor time, and then in the afternoon, you have floor time. Okay, and then you've got a commission. Appointed the Mountain Development Commission meeting. These are all open to the public. They're also streamed. So any floor time is audio and visual. Any committee is audio. All right, back to committees. So for example, let's say we want to look at let's do the Political Subdivisions Committee. So this deals with voting, for example. So they don't have any meetings yet scheduled, but that'll happen next week. Members of the committee, here you go. You've got the chair is Dixon Pitcher and the vice chair is Craig Hall, representatives. And then here's the makeup on the House. So this is a House committee. On the Senate, you're going to have Senate members. So you've got, it's bipartisan, but you can see there's not very many Democrats in the House, and so there's only 2 on this committee, 3. Karen Kwan, Marie Polson, and Elizabeth Waite. Okay, and the rest of them are Republicans. Many committees are like this. Most of the committees are like this because there's a supermajority of Republicans. Okay, so if you find a bill, let's see, the process, I think you're going to go through the process with your instructor, but basically the bill starts with an idea. Let's try this. The bill starts with an idea. It goes to a legislator. It goes to legislative research where it's drafted. Then it's assigned to the body that it's going to start in. So if you're a person requesting it as a representative, it'll start in the House. If it's a senator, it'll start in the Senate. And the very first place it's going to show up really is in the Rules Committee, and they're going to decide what standing committee that goes to. So let's go back to bills here. Let's see, general session information. We want to go here because we want to see if we can figure out that bill I was telling you about. Okay, Merrill Nelson. Okay, this one right here, child sex abuse amendments. So it's the only one with a number. It's the only one that's been released. You can see that he's got 5 in process and 2 abandoned. So right here, he already has a Senate sponsor. Interesting. A lot of times you don't have that. So if you read through down here, you skip down because we want to look for the new language of the bill. All right, right here, relationships of parent and child or of siblings by adoption and step siblings right here. So that's right here. Here's your definition of incest. The relationships describe the blood relationships, parents and child or of siblings by adoption, and relationships of step siblings. So interestingly enough, it's not a very long bill. It's just adding to that definition. So he doesn't have a lot of explanation here. You can track this bill. Okay, so if you click on this, track this, you can either click on this tracking page or you can get it to send you an email notification every time this bill changes. So my email, and you can email me on this email, right? So that will send me updates every time this bill changes. So that's how it's been introduced. Here's our fiscal note. That's how much this bill is going to cost, they think. $0. It's not going to cost any money. Is there an agency note attached to this? This is a very short note. It will not result in a new agency or a new program. Okay. Let's see, go back. Similar bills. This is a new thing where you can look at different bills that might be, that might be related to an area of interest that you have. Okay, status of the bill right here. This is where you're going to see everything that happened with the bill. So the bill is numbered and publicly distributed. It was received by the House on the 11th of January. Nothing's going to happen until the session starts on the 22nd, but this is the process, right? And then it has no hearings scheduled, but it will starting next week. So that's basically how you can follow the bill. You can go over here to committees. You can see all the committees. You can go to the code if you want to see what's already in law right now. That's over here, Utah Code, title, chapter, and section, or by keyword. You can go here for online budget information. There's quite a bit here, and you can really get into the weeds if you want to, which is why it's there. And then for finding your legislators, interesting. They don't want us to find our legislators. That's so funny. Okay. Maybe they're working on it because this is a really busy week. Anyway, if you want to see what happened with our bill, this is the status. Let's go to the status. So this is a long time ago, but they got the bill numbered, distributed, received. You can see here's the first House committee was held, the very beginning of the session. It did not advance on the first hearing. It had a second hearing, and then it advanced 7-1-0. And if you click here, you can see here's who voted yes, here's who voted no. Okay, and then you go back. It went to third reading in the House. It passed 41-30 in the House with 4 abstaining. And then it went over to the Senate. Senate went to standing committee, 7-2 in the Senate. Then you get all the way down here. They tried to add amendments. They didn't pass. And then when it finally passed, it was 15-14. You can't get any closer in the Senate. Everybody voted, and it was the president of the Senate who broke the tie vote there. It then went, because this was the last night of the session, actually, it then went to the House for enrolling and then to the governor. The governor signed it on March 22nd, and it has been in effect now for almost 13 years. Okay, I hope that answers any questions you might have. Thanks for joining me and your participation. I really appreciate it, and good luck this semester. Have a lot of fun.